Okay, so we're beginning a new project today, and as you can guess, it's a ukulele kit. We got this off Aliexpress for the princely sum of €8.53, and we pretty much got exactly what we paid for. It's a very cheap, very low quality kit. We've got a plastic fretboard here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some laser engraving and stuff on this, some custom inlays, just to make it a little bit more interesting and slightly upscale it and improve it a bit. We've got a plastic bridge. We may or may not use this. Plastic nut and saddle here. 4 very cheap tuners. All the screws, plastic ferrules for the tuners. Again, we may upgrade these, we'll see. Strings, which I'm sure are absolutely top of the range. We've got the neck here. As you can see, it's a couple of pieces. And we've got our scarf joint here. It's very, very rough, and there's some tear out and stuff. You can see badly damaged along here, and just very rough overall. So we're doing a lot of sanding on this and filling. This is our body here, very, very thin all around. It's got the holes already drilled for the bridge, and I can almost guarantee you they're going to be off. Again, a lot of dings and marks on this, so a lot of sanding and filling to be done. And we've just got a single dowel for a connection here. And you can see the wood was actually stapled shut, so not the highest of quality. And looking inside, you won't be able to see it from there, but the neck block doesn't actually touch the back at all, which isn't good, so we'll have to do something about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this kit and completely upscale it. Yes, this piece of wood fell out of the inside. This is part of the kerfing that lines inside. That came out, which isn't a good sign, but lucky enough we should be able to get away with it. But what we're going to do is completely upscale this kit, and we're going to turn it into a Spider-Man ukulele. So a complete paint job, there'll be Spider-Man images on it, and we're going to cut a web pattern into the top. And so we'll just crack on with that now. So just to give you an idea of kind of what we're planning, you can see that we've got the bridge here, and we've got this kind of spider web pattern. So we're going to cut out all these holes here, so you'll have a dozen or so extra sound holes on it, so that'll all be open and looking like a spider's web. We're going to cut out this spider itself shape and stick it over the sound hole, so you'll still have access to the sound hole, but it'll look like the spider is sitting on top of it. And as you said, we're going to inlay the fingerboard and that.
Why the fuck you lying?
We were thinking of replacing the fingerboard and making a proper wooden one, but I don't want to use metal frets because this is going to a child, so I don't want the risk of any sharp edges or anything like that, or just avoiding any metal where their hands are going to be. So that's the rough idea of what the plan is going to be, as well as our paint job, and we'll put some Spider-Man stuff on the headstock and probably something on the back as well. But that's just the basic plan of what we think we're going to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our spider pattern here, and we're just going to use some spray glue. I'm just going to stick it down to this piece of maple, and then we're going to use the bandsaw to cut away a lot of the excess, and then we'll come back with files and rasps and sanders and everything and try and refine the design of it. So we'll just get that stuck on now. So here's our spider piece that we've just finished on the bandsaw with. As you said, it still needs a bit of refinement and that to take off all the sharp edges and just generally just get it a little bit smoother. But at the moment you can see it's way too thick at the moment. If we try and put this in place here, the strings will rest on it, it'll be way too high. So we're just going to take it over to the sander and try and trim it down as much as we can. It's a little bit flimsy in parts because it's so thin, so we might get a few breaks or cracks that we'll have to glue back together. But that's that part pretty much done. So once that's done, then we're going to work on our spider pattern where we'll cut out all these holes. So next up is to flatten this down and thin it down, and then work on our spider pattern. So that's our piece tinned down. You can see how thin it is there. So that should be able to be glued down fine there, and with the fretboard in place the strings will pass over it without touching it, hopefully once we add in the height of the bridge. So as we said, this is still very rough, so we're going to file and sand a lot of the edges, but it is very delicate, and now that we've tinned it out it's even more delicate. So we'll just be doing some light sanding on it, maybe a bit of filing just to smooth everything out. But that's that piece pretty much done. So we're going to move on now, and we'll do our spider web pattern on the upper side there. So for our spider piece here, we've just spray glued on our template, and we're just going to drill out the center of all these holes and then get them to the right size using files and sandpaper, etc. And then we'll score in the black lines to complete the look. And ordinarily on any other instrument I'd be worried if there was bracing and stuff underneath the just underneath the soundboard, but I very much doubt there's any bracing at all on this ukulele. So we'll crack on and start drilling out those holes. So we've drilled all our holes, and we're just going around the entire pattern now with a scalpel blade, and we're just marking in where it is and cutting away the template and all that. So this is a very long, very tedious process, so I'm not filming it, and also the language I'm using during it isn't exactly family friendly. So we're just going to continue cutting out this pattern, and we'll bring you back when that's done. So apologies for the noise of the rain. Storm Dennis has hit Dublin. Just to show you where we are, we've started to cut out some of our holes here. So we've taken away the bulk of the material, and we're coming back with a scalpel blade just to pare away little bits. We'll have to come back and do a lot more filing and a lot more sanding, and we'll have to define all our lines here between them. But it's going okay. It's slow progress, it takes a lot of time, but we'll keep working away and we'll bring you back when we're done. So here we have our holes fully cut out. There's still some shaping to be done on sanding and filing, etc. But this just gives you an idea of the look we're going for. So from this point on, we're moving to our voiceover, and we've just got our neck and our body in our paint booth at the moment, and we're just starting to spray the front of the headstock there red, and we also use blue and white paints for this. And you can just see on the body there we've got the sound hole masked off, and we've also masked off our web pattern that we've just cut into the body. So just moving on now to show you the brilliant blue standard Rust-Oleum paint that we're just painting onto the back of the body here, just using some overlapping coats there, and just taking in all of the back and starting to incorporate painting the sides as well. And you might just be able to make it out on the front. You can see we've masked off totally the front of the body where we've sprayed the red already. And just above my right arm there you can see that we've actually sprayed the fretboard blue, and we haven't done any laser engraving or inlays like we lied about earlier. And then our spider piece that will be going on the front, just very simply get some coats of black gloss. And again, with most of the front of the body masked off, we spray our web pattern just some coats of gloss white. And then we begin to very carefully try and paint all the lines in between the spider webs. And now that's our finished spiderweb pattern painted on, and we're just poking and taking away the masking tape that we had underneath the spiderweb now. And now we're just securing our non-laser engraved fingerboard down to our neck with just some screws, and the clamp is there to stop the fingerboard from moving around as we screw it down. And so now we're just getting ready to attach the neck to the body. So we're just using some Type Bond wood glue here, and we're not using too much because we don't want the glue to squeeze out over the edges onto where the paint is. And this is actually a very poor neck connection here, so you'll see when we end up flipping the instrument over and we have to do something extra just to try and keep the neck and the body secured together. So as you can see on the back of the body now, we've had to use a truss rod cover to provide an extra mechanical connection between the neck and the body, just to stop them separating apart. It doesn't look great, but this is a child's toy, so we're not worried too much about how elegant it all looks, and we're just also screwing in a strap button here as well. And now we're just securing our spider piece into place over the sound hole, and we're just using some CA glue for this. So we're just using some light finger pressure to hold it in place until the glue begins to cure. And so now we're just securing our tuners in place, and these are the original tuners that came with the kit. We didn't bother with any upgrades or anything like that. So now we're just screwing the bridge down into place, and as we said there in the video, the original screw holes were in the incorrect position, so we had to do some measuring and stuff like that to make sure they moved into the correct place. So that's just screwed down into place now. And then we just put in some pearl dots to cover up those screw holes. And then finally we just had the addition of a Spider-Man sticker onto the back of the body. So here is the finished ukulele. By the time you're seeing this, the little girl in question should have it. So there's our custom spiderweb sound hole, our very scary spider covering the original sound hole, our blue fretboard, our Brenco headstock, and of course our friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man on the back of our blue body. So that is it.